Shalom, shalom, and welcome. Welcome, O Yasharal. Welcome, O set-apart nation. Children of the Almighty Father Yahuah, in the name of Yahusha, I come to you and say again, shalom and welcome. Welcome to Return of the Promised Land Judgment Series. This is the 34th installment. If you're tuning in for the first time, my name is Symmanayah. This particular installment, or should I say specific installment, is an alert and a warning. We have entered into end times, and there's an epidemic before us that many are unaware. I am compelled to believe that the Spirit of Yahusha has brought me to deliver this message about End-time Tower Epidemic. End-time Tower Epidemic. Yasharal, O Yasharal, the time is at hand to begin to seek to discern all that makes a set-apart nation whole and complete. The time is now to begin to discern the details and processes that will go forth that will result in 144,000 Hebrews emerging in a great multitude as described in Revelation 7th chapter. Let me ask you, O Yasharal, listen to these words. Have we learned from the days of Noah how the Most High destroyed those who were rebellious and saved Noah and his family and the animals that he selected? Have we learned any lesson from that? Have we learned about the lesson to be learned regarding the days of Lot? Allow me to share this, my brothers and sisters, as we get into this segment that will present a case for end-time tower epidemic. Luke 17th chapter. It reads, 17:26 through 30 reads as this. And as it came to be in the days of Noah, so also shall it be in the days of the son of Adam. They were eating, they were drinking, they were marrying, they were given in marriage until the day of Noah went into the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Could this also read, my brothers and sisters? Well, I shouldn't say read. Could this also be sending a message to us that this is what will happen? Like in the days of Noah, man to be drinking and marrying and eating and going into marriage up until the day that the tribulation will bring about and usher in much destruction before we see the salvation and full deliverance of a set-apart awakening people. Let me continue on. Luke 17:28 to 30. And likewise, as it came to be in the days of Lot, they were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planting, they were building. But on the day of Lot, when out of Sodom, it rained fire and sulfur from heaven and destroyed all. It shall be the same in the day of the son of Adam, when the son of Adam is revealed. Yasharal, O set apart Yasharal, have we learned our lessons? I ask you again, have we learned our lessons from the errors of our forefathers? My brothers and sisters, it's time to fully discern all that can be learned regarding Noah and Lot and rise to the occasion of pursuing discipline with a fervency. The answer to the questions I've asked, have we learned, is unequivocally no. We see among us an end-time tower epidemic. We see a season where many among Yasharal are trying to make a name for themselves. We see where, as a result, not only are they trying to make a name for themselves as an individual, but as a camp, fellowship, group, etc. And many are competing to build bigger communities or bigger edifices, brick and mortars. I tell you, my brothers and sisters, an end-time tower epidemic has occurred. We even see wickedness beyond what took place in Sodom and Gomorrah, widespread across the planet like never before. I say to you, an end-time tower epidemic is also growing. I will stage my words in such a way that I am compelled to believe it would not be difficult to see that as man is trying to make a name for themselves, our ability to communicate is disrupted. Confusion and separation is occurring. Why? Because of the many different interpretations of the scriptures, because of the many different teachings. Believe it or not, I continued rebellion in the past. believe it or not, our rebellion in the past was the reason why we were scattered, as mentioned in Deuteronomy 28th chapter. And I say to you to this day, we are scattered and we are separated among one another. There's division among one another, unfruitful division. There will come set apart division. There will come the called out ones of the Almighty Father Yahuah, who will be gathered from the four corners of the earth. There will come those who are called by the Father to demonstrate, by the Almighty Father Yahuah, to demonstrate standing for Yahusha's name and facing martyrdom, facing persecution, facing death. My brothers and sisters, this is the last go round for man as we know it. Our rebellion is causing people to move to and fro, seeking to discover what is true. And among those that are seeking to discover what is true, there are those who take advantage of the unlearned and the undiscerning by promoting erroneous positions and teachings, by trying to establish a name for themselves. I have witnessed undiscerning mores and teachers use words that would lead one to think that they can discern and understand, but have not proven so in their actions, in their witness, in their life among us. I have witnessed a proliferation among us of individuals trying to make a name for themselves, trying to build larger buildings or bigger camps, dressing them and adorning them with garments or some way, shape, or form to identify a specific group beyond emphasis on just set apart Yasharal. There are those who are erroneous blame the obedient children of Yahuah for bringing about confusion when they are indeed out of line. They blame the obedient children of Yahuah when they themselves are out of line. When reproof and correction comes regarding these erroneous teachings, practices, and behaviors among mores, teachers, bishops, pastors, and other influentials among Yasharal, they blame the obedient for causing the confusion. But the confusion is when the obedient unmask erroneous teachings, when the obedient unmask and bring about true completeness in the scriptures as they are made alive through the obedient ones, through the chosen ones of the Almighty Father, through the ones that the Spirit of Yahusha chooses to bring about correction and reproof. My brothers and sisters, we will grow to put our egos in check. We will grow to understand and discern what it means to face the discipline of the Almighty Father as mentioned in the 12th chapter of Hebrews. Let me again encourage you to remember the story where man sought to make a name for himself. It resulted in people being scattered and speaking with multiple language. Believe it or not, something similar is happening as I speak. We are witness a proliferation of men trying to make a name for themselves, thus causing more confusion and division among Yasharal. This, I am compelled to believe, is an end-time tower epidemic. We are witnessing people being scattered, people going into their homes, giving up because of the many different interpretations of scriptures. We are witnessing people doubting, but yet still being drawn, spirits still being stirred. And I say to you, the Almighty Father knows the very intent, and he will respond to those whom he chooses to use. We are also seeing man compete in many ways, trying to create a name for himself. My brothers and sisters, the Almighty Father will respond to this end-time tower epidemic. I am compelled to believe that if we discern the living life in the Spirit of Yahuah, sending Yahusha's name, as mentioned in John 14:26, as we begin to listen, we will know what the author meant to deliver to his children. We will know what the scriptures are correctly saying. In other words, we will be able to see beyond man's tampering with the text. For our teacher will bring about all that is necessary for us to understand. Our teacher, Yahusha HaMashiach, Yahuwah's word manifest in the flesh, Yahuwah's name, sent in Yahusha's name, his set apart spirit sent in Yahusha's name. We will understand what all of that means, my brothers and sisters, and we will rise up. Who is aware of the life in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2 through 6? For it is critical for us to realize In order for us to be gathered from the four corners of the earth, in order for us to move into unity, we must know what it means to lean daily, moment by moment, on the Spirit of the Almighty Father, to discern what He is saying, to discern His guidance, to discern His presence working through us, in us, one towards another, and to discern His chosen leaders. 2 Corinthians 3:2-6 says, "You are our letter, having been written in our hearts, known and read by all men." See, man is reading our actions. Our actions. Making it obvious that you are a letter of Messiah, served by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living Almighty One, not on tablets of stone, but on fleshly tablets of the heart. And such trust we have towards the Almighty One through Messiah. Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from the Almighty One, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter kills and the Spirit gives life. It kills because we think that we can take the letter. We think that we have the academic prowess, the academic strength and fortitude to take the scriptures and run and dictate and teach and influence the world, without leaning moment by moment to the author, without recognizing that the text, all these different versions, have information that collides with one another, that conflicts with one another. It is those who can discern what the Almighty Father is saying and look and listen and see beyond man's tampering. O Yasharal, though the languages might seem scattered in regards to teaching in unity, those drawn by the Almighty Father will come together. Pray and watch, my brothers and sisters. Believe it or not, as we discover the many flaws in the various types of scriptures in or what is known as Bibles, the Almighty Father Yahuah will make straight and correct all that needs to be corrected. He will correct it as He chooses. The question is, do we have the submission, the strength to submit and yield? Do we have the fortitude to press into or to come away from erroneous teaching, but press into set apart correction and reproof? I believe time will prove to be so, my brothers and sisters. Go and visit the 11th chapter of Genesis and discover how man tried to make a name for themselves, how we once had a single language. Some may know it as a pure lip. Read Genesis 11th chapter, and we will see how man made the comment. Let me give you an excerpt of part of it, but the 11th chapter, but specifically I want to zoom in to 11:4, where man said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens, and make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered over all the face of the earth." We're scattered, O Yasharal, and we are continually scattered. However, O Yasharal, hear these words. The Most High has promised to gather us from the four corners of the earth. The Most High has promised to deliver His children back to the promised land before the physical return of Yahusha HaMashiach. His promises do not change. Be mindful of Malachi 3:6, which says, "For I am Yahuah, I shall not change, and you, O sons of Yaakov, shall not come to an end." There are promises, many promises regarding what must and will come to be, my brothers and sisters. Over the years, the enemy have used scriptures in part to tempt Yahusha, and to those who seek to follow Yahusha. Fragmented scriptures can lead to confusion and unfruitful division among the set-apart children of Yahuah if we fail to discern what our teacher is saying, if we fail to pay attention and come away from erroneous distractions, and come away from those that appear to be spiritual, but are like empty vessels. My brothers and sisters, as we search the scriptures, as we seek the voice of the Spirit of Yahusha, let us be mindful. He will bring corrections. There will be correction to things that we see in these different versions of scriptures or Bible. And we will know unequivocally whether that correction is from the Almighty Father or not. For time and proof will come with power. You see, my brothers and sisters, in spite of man thinking that, hey, I can read, I can interpret, are we not aware that literacy is one of the biggest challenges among us in communication? Are we not aware that our reading and comprehension skills vary from person to person? Oh, those are simple words. I understand that. My brothers and sisters, this end-time tower epidemic will prove that confusion is a result of rebellion, that trying to make a name for ourselves demonstrates an act of rebellion. It will prove even more so how literacy is a challenge. And then to introduce the need to pursue a Hebrew language, which many fail to tell you that they're talking most widely about modern Hebrew, which is Aramaic influence. That's not the pure lip that we once had. Many will tell you that they speak Hebrew because they know a certain quantity, a certain number of Hebrew terms. But can they speak it fluently? Tell them to speak in Hebrew instructions on how to go get some water, how to prepare a meal. Tell them if they really speak pure Hebrew, ask them to speak it, and ask them to point you to people you believe or they believe are speaking fluent Hebrew. Do not be deceived, my brothers and sisters. Even amongst the modern day Hebrew, words that these teachers are telling you are multiple definitions of one Hebrew term. You'll see that there are many Hebrew, so-called modern Hebrew, terms that have multiple meanings. So how do you discern which meaning is true? We discern by the Spirit of the Almighty Father Yahuah, sending Yahusha's name as our teacher, making it straight. And just as he make those words straight, he make things straight among our native language, whether it be English, Spanish, Latin. And I'm saying native as in the language of our captors. Pray, O Yasharal, a pure lip will return, as mentioned in Zephaniah. But that time has not come. Do not be deceived, my brothers and sisters. Many who care to try to make a name for themselves because they believe they know the Hebrew way or they dress the Hebrew way are misleading those. They're trying to make a name for themselves. Know this, O Yasharal. There's nothing wrong with dressing modest. There's nothing wrong with dressing similar to the culture that we once had. But when it steps across the boundaries of a commandment, when we start putting Yah, Yahuah, Yahusha, or Menorah name on garments, we violate the commandments, which talks about graven images. Believe it or not, my brothers and sisters, the Almighty Father Yahuwah's name is on our forehead, meaning it is in our actions. As we walk, people see that. They recognize that. As we speak, people recognize that. He is not requiring us to put a tattoo nor wear jewelry with our name on our forehead or his name rather on our forehead or his name on our garments. For many people who have been deceived because they see individuals, quote unquote, dressing the part, and they perceiving that they are really into the Hebrew culture and that they really know set apartness and that they really know the ways of the Almighty Father. Believe this. Either they will receive reproof and repent, or they will receive a response from the Almighty Father that would be most painful and regrettable. And there would be no doubt that it came at the word of the Almighty Father. Discipline will come, O Yasharal. Unity will come. There are those who are blinded by the Almighty Father, and they're blinded for a reason. Come with me and let's evaluate prayerfully John 12:39 and 40. It reads as this: because of this they were unable to believe, because again, Yahuah said, He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, so that they should not see with their eyes and understand with their heart and turn, and I shall heal them. You see, out of rebellion comes blindness. Out of rebellion comes different interpretations of scriptures. Out of rebellion comes confusion. Out of rebellion will also come the powerful hand and discipline of the Almighty Father, purging the wicked ones from among us, or giving us the strength and fortitude to come away from them. Let me also insert 1 John 2:10-11. It says, the one who loves his brother stays in the light, and there is no stumbling block in him. But the one who hates his brother is in the darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Let me also read this, O Yasharal. Matthew 23:27-28. Woe to the scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, and inside are filled with dead man bones and all uncleanness. So you too outwardly indeed appear righteous to men, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. As we hunger for set apartness, as we hunger to discern and to see those who are set apart, let us use our judgment skills as the Spirit of Yahuah directs us, and as he bring about judgment through us, in us, one towards another, not using our own academic, our own interpretation, our own mental faculties to determine how to judge. Let us discern what the Spirit of Yahuah have to say on these matters. Lest we be amongst the blind, lest we be among those entangled in this end-time tower epidemic. Matthew 22:29, and Yahusha answered, said to them, you go astray, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of the Almighty One. You see, my brothers and sisters, as man has tampered with the scriptures, there are still pointers in there that points us right to the Almighty Father, that points us as we yield to his Spirit, where he makes complete what it is he was saying to us in spite of man's tampering. My brothers and sisters, truly, as we begin to witness these end times, as we begin to witness this end-time tower epidemic become widespread, more so than what it is, we will see the flow of the Almighty Father's promised discipline among those who must and will fulfill latter-day prophecy. If we are to take a discerning position regarding this story, we will know that the actions that are occurring indeed reflect behaviors that was similar to the incident that occurred in Genesis 11 chapter regarding the tower, what is known as the Tower of Babel story. People are set apart, Yasharal. We will grow to know what is right. Those who have and will receive demands, living orders from the Almighty Father. There are many fellowships, camps, and gathering places that will fall. They will fall to the wayside. There are some groups that will face reproof and repent. There are individuals who will find that it is a challenging task as we wrestle against this end-time tower epidemic. We will witness deliverance. We will witness how the Spirit of Yahusha will bring liberty, my brothers and sisters. Beware. Beware of those who are puffed up. Beware of those who cannot state the case of set apartness with completeness and wholeness. Beware of those who promote and would lead you to think that they are spiritual because of a language that they call the Hebrew language. Beware of those who dress the part and will make you or seek to make you think that they are more closer connected to the ways of Yasharal when they are not. Ask questions. What Hebrew language are you speaking? Modern, Paleo, ancient, Yiddish? Where does it say in the scriptures that we should chase and find the original pure lip? It said it would be restored. Why are we as man trying to restore it ourselves? Are we not aware that the Most High wants to bring to our attention that it is important to lean on him and he would make us whole? He will bring about discernment so that we will not be caught up into the deception of thinking that we are closer to him by embracing a language that is not the pure language. Many will walk away, will cut away from me. And it's not about me. They will cut and walk away from others who agree with me on these words. But I say to you, O Yasharal, choose your side wisely, for end times will bring about a gathering. It will bring about reproof, unity. The rise of the 144,000 Hebrews in great multitude will emerge. And it would also prove to be a time of widespread death and destruction. What's your position? Oh, listen to these words. With all that is said, my brothers and sisters, just as famine comes as physical diseases and sicknesses, I say to you that we are witnessing a spiritual famine in this end-time tower epidemic, with men trying to make a name for themselves. Be encouraged, Yasharal. Be encouraged and know that the Almighty Father is about to respond. Be encouraged knowing that intensity has begun for some already. Look around. We will begin to see mores, teachers, bishops, and pastors. We will begin to see leaders who are undiscerning or who have stepped away and stepped off that path that they once may have been traveling in obedience, and they veered off. We will see different ones begin to say, why me? Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? To those who are being disciplined by the Most High. For those who are wicked, do not focus and be worried. They have their judgment. Let us rise up and prepare, my brothers and sisters. Prepare to adapt and adjust to the refinement, to the discipline that is coming from the Almighty Father. Let us begin to discuss these matters among one another. Let us begin to pray and seek to discern so that we know how to adapt, how to adjust, for movement is coming. Forced transitions will come in these end times. I cannot stress it enough. Until next time, my brothers and sisters, I, Symmanayah, your brother, encourage you to continue to seek earnestly to discern what must and will be done. I say it often. The Almighty Father Yahuah is not going to say, would you do this for me, please? Can you do this? He knows what it takes to bring his children into obedience. He knows who to speak through, how to speak through them, and what ways to execute his judgments to bring about correction, O Yasharal. So be encouraged. He knows our hearts, our intent, and he knows what is indeed set apart and what should well up within us. And it will. Until next time, you, listen to these words, you who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father, you whom I consider my brother, my sister, be encouraged. Shalum.